Hey YouTubers, and welcome to the next episode here. Welcome to episode 2. Actually, technically, I think it's episode like 3 or 4. But we're just going ahead and move right along here. Welcome to a episode of ESGNet presents Sports Gamer Talk, or Soapbox Top, or whatever I call it. Podcast. This is episode 2. And we got a lot of things to cover. This is going to be I'm trying to get it within an hour, so you guys don't hear me, on my soapbox. I've been really busy here as of late, since the first episode. At work, it's been getting hectic. It's getting towards the end of the year, and also, and if you guys don't know, I work for I work for the university. Missouri Western State University in St. Joseph, Missouri. A lot of you guys probably don't know where that is. It is the home of the Pony Express, home of Jesse James, all that good stuff. So yeah, I work there. I work in food services, and so it gets kind of hectic towards around the last 2 months or so, trying to fill in orders to make sure we have enough food and everything else for the remainder of the year. Not to mention also trying to get prep ready for we have spring, or we have a summer session, and we also have summer camps that come through there and everything else like that. So also we got the Chiefs camp, Kansas City Chiefs camp. I think I mentioned this in a video before. I've done that last year. It was a lot of fun. Met a lot of the Chiefs players, got autographs, stuff like that. So it was really cool. But anyway, besides that, I've just been busy. Spring break was up. We just had spring break here not too long ago. I wanted to just do things that were non-YouTube. So basically, I got a whole stack of movies right now that I've been going through here the last 2 weeks or so, and I actually made a little bit of a dent in them just today. So trying to do YouTube videos, trying to get caught up in a lot of stuff here for the channel. And also too, bought a new computer, which I'm currently not using. Well, I'm using it right now. It's sitting right beside me, rendering up some videos for Major League Baseball coming up here, which is by the time this video comes up, it'll be today. But if this video comes up on Saturday, it'll be tomorrow. So the first day of Major League Baseball for the 2016 season's coming up. We'll talk about that here a little later. What else? We got numerous amounts of things to talk about, but I got a new computer now, so I'm rendering a lot of my videos now in true 1080p or 1080i, or whatever you want to call it, and 60 frames per second. So you guys will see that stuff coming up here in the next couple of days here on the channel. So with that being said, and I'll talk a little bit more about that a little later on here in the show, and what I had all this other stuff that I've been into. Let's go right into it. NFL recently just announced, or a lot of NFL teams just announced some retirements. Some of them not surprising, some of them very surprising. One of them that I was not surprised of course, is Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning going off to the sunset. He won his second Super Bowl ring. To me, he should have 4. But it's another time for another video for another time. Peyton Manning, probably one of the by far probably in my top 5 of quarterbacks of all time. And when I say all time, I mean all time in my lifetime that I've grew up watching the NFL. I would say he's in the top 10 of all time in the retrospect of the NFL from the very first game up till present day. So congratulations to Peyton Manning on getting another Super Bowl win. He's the first Super Bowl quarterback to ever win 2 championships with 2 different teams within just a couple, 5 or 6 years of each other. So congratulations to him. There's just some you guys gotta check it out on NFL.com. I think I have a link down there in the description of just what he has done here in the NFL. Not to mention, just not in the NFL, but pop culture itself. I mean, he's in Papa John's commercials. Of course, he owns a couple franchises there in Colorado. But just overall, just a great guy, and I wish the best of luck to him. I could see him doing some, maybe possibly doing some analyst work. I know there's some talks right now, him with ESPN. Others I think I've heard of CBS. So if he does that, that'd be awesome. That'd fit him perfectly, because he is definitely a guy I would love to listen to when it comes to, especially just breaking down defenses and all that jazz and stuff. So because there's a lot of guys out there, and you guys probably know, just like I do as a sports fan, there's a lot of guys that just are not good at that type of role, and they just I cringe. Let's see, Jared Allen was another one. This was actually one that really surprised me. He decided to retire. He's a former Kansas City Chiefs, Vikings, who else did he put? Carolina Panthers he just recently played with. Jared Allen retiring. Marshall Lynch, of all people. Wow. I never would have guessed this. Marshall Lynch is now retiring. And this is the thing. Some of these names I'm about to mention here are around in their 30s. So you got Heath Miller, Pittsburgh Steeler player. Of course, Charles Woodson. He already announced. I think it was towards the end, midway of season, saying he was going to retire. So he was on his goodbye tour with the Raiders. Of course, won a Super Bowl with them, and also with the Green Bay Packers, most notably. That year. Of course, former Heisman Trophy winner, the first to win the Heisman Trophy as a defensive player there for the last 10 years. I don't think we've ever seen one since him. So I think we're due for that here pretty soon. Justin Tuck, another young guy that's going to call it quits here in the NFL. Of course, a Giants player, and that's going to be a big missing piece there in that defense there with him retiring. Gerald Mayo of the New England Patriots, he's retiring. And the one that really got me, besides the Marshall Lynch retirement, you got Calvin Johnson. Yes, that son of a bitch in the office, Calvin Johnson. He is going to retire, and he is moving on to better days here, as he's just decided to call it quits and move on. So again, I wish the best of luck to him. I believe also BJ Raji's on that list of 30-somethings that are retiring here, and that's a big thing right now this year. And it almost kind of gives you wondering why there's so many of these guys are in their 30s right now. They're in the prime of their career, and back in my minds, maybe they're thinking, okay, I made enough money, I got enough security to last me for to retire off of. Because in my mind, I'm hoping, because a lot of people, guys don't think about this, but they're thinking for the future here, and maybe it's health concerns. Maybe they're concerned about their health because within the last 5 years now, we've been talking about concussions and being related to people like Junior Seau, who committed suicide. There, that was possibly a link to him, having brain damage, and him causing himself to commit suicide. I think a lot of them are probably thinking about the health aspect of it. Others are probably just thinking that they feel like they played their best, and if you're a player that has been out there for you've been playing in the NFL for average wise about 4 years. Some of these guys have been playing a little bit longer than that, around 6 to 7 years. You would think that why are you leaving at this when this is where you're iron striking hot right now. You're playing real well. And again, we don't know what they, some of these players don't. I think a lot of them, a couple of them said they didn't have it in them no more. They feel like they accomplished everything they could accomplish. Even though maybe they didn't win a Super Bowl, or they did win a Super Bowl, they've pretty much accomplished what they want to do with it. Which, for a lot of guys, just getting to the NFL, that's the biggest thing in their lives, and they can die a happy man, if they had to leave this earth the next day. So I think that's quite admirable to a lot of these guys who are retiring early, because if you don't have it in you, there's no need for you to come out. I think I said this before. I can't remember if I said it here on YouTube or not, but I know I said it around my friends, was when the whole Brett Favre fiasco was going on a couple years ago. I was kind of like, okay, Brett's gonna keep playing. All right, this awesome, that's awesome. And then I started thinking, I'm like, oh man, when he was having that rough year with the Jets, and then turned around, he went to the Vikings, stuff like that, and he was kind of having a rough time there. It kind of got me thinking. I'm like, I don't want to push him out of the door and say, thanks for the great memories and everything, but I kind of want to see you, kind of right off in the sunset. You had a great career, you had very successful. Of course, you made quite a bit of money, but I just don't. I don't want to see guys like that just kind of just going out there just for the glory, being glory hounds. But hey, if that's what if they still have that drive, that if they're willing to continue training hard and putting in the effort every day, like they did when they were starting off their career in the NFL, and they're 16, 17, 18 years in their career, if they still have that motivation and drive, hey, more power to you. But it's individual. A lot of people are like, oh, they just need to leave, blah blah blah. He's washed up. Right? Well, okay, yes, he may be washed up, but that's not your decision. That's his decision. That's his decision. That's his family's. Family members, getting advice from them. But ultimately, it's that one person's decision. So that's what those guys need. And I'm sure these guys that I mentioned earlier have talked with friends, family, close people, the people that will, that have helped them, guide them, gave them excellent advice about a lot of things. When it comes to sports, that at times they couldn't handle. They needed to, hear from a different perspective. And I wish all of them the best of luck. It's going to be hard now, especially with Calvin Johnson. He was one of my picks for next year. For now, I'm thinking about it. I know one of my friends right now who has him. He's probably crying. I guarantee he was crying that day when Calvin Johnson announced his retirement. I know I was crying when Peyton. Well, of course, I know Peyton Manning's going to leave, but kind of rough because Peyton Manning, I've had him since I played fantasy football, and that's going all the way back to 2006. So it's wow, it's gonna be 10 years since I've been in that fantasy league. Wow. Hopefully we're doing something special. Because I think we started in 2006. So yeah, wow. Well, anyway, so that's the news right there for the NFL retirements. Let's go ahead and move on. Stay in the NFL, and let's talk a little bit about what is going on when it comes to the free agency. Free agency right now is kind of just in a whirlwind. There's several announcements. Now, one of them, if you guys, by now you probably heard about it, Brock Osweiler. He was going to be pretty much looked like he was going to be the head guy. He was going to be the guy that the Broncos were going to say, hey, he's going to be our franchise quarterback. He's our future. And, by the looks of it, not going to happen. Because he was just recently traded. Or just was traded within a couple of days. Actually, traded within, 24 hours after he had an incident that was on TMZ. I think you guys can check that out. It's on, pretty much on any media outlet. But, definitely you guys can check it on TMZ. He got in an altercation with a gentleman outside of a pizzeria, I think it was. I can't remember exactly where. I don't know if it was in Denver or not, but there was an altercation, and the guy was pretty much harassing. I want to say it was his wife, but I think it was maybe a friend of theirs or something. I'm not sure what it was, but there was an altercation, and Brock, of course, stepped in and told the guy to back off. Leave us alone. The guy, they're pushing and shoving. Next thing you know, there was a fight. Well, within 24 hours later, you thought maybe, okay, maybe he'll get fined, maybe there'll be some kind of punishment or whatever. Well, found to be the Broncos now, and this is allegedly, now this is just word of mouth, but apparently the Broncos already had in motion that they were going to go ahead and trade him, and this apparently they said was not related to what happened, the incident with him, but they went ahead and trade him to the Houston Texans. So now he's a Texans now. He had a 4-year, $72 million deal with them in that trade. So they signed him to a long-term deal. Don't know what the Denver Broncos are going to do yet. By the looks of it, probably going to go to they're going to have to go to either free agency, which free agency, there's not much of a quarterbacks out there. Johnny Manziel's been kind of rumored. But also, you're looking at a good possibility they're going to have to draft a quarterback. So, John Elway and company are going to have to sit down with their plans and figure out what they're going to do when it comes to the quarterback position. Let's see. On the other news, Mario Williams, he signed with the Dolphins. It's a 2-year deal, $17 million for him. So he's going to get paid. He's going to be working with a team that the Dolphins, what can you say really about the Dolphins? They haven't been, playoff caliber for quite a few years now. They're in the division. They're in a tough division because they got the New England Cheaters, or excuse me, the New England Patriots. You got also the Jets. They're in that division. So pretty much, yeah, they just look like they're trying to just get that defense up and going there. I think towards the end of the season there, they were playing pretty well there, but nothing really to get all crazy about. I mean, they got Donovan Sue. Sue had a pretty decent season, not something to get not anything newsworthy. But yeah, for the most part, yeah, they're look like they're trying to get their defense going there and try to get win some games there down there in South Florida. Kobe Fleener, the former Colts, he now signed a deal with the Saints. It's a 5-year deal, $36 million. He will be down there with Drew Brees, catching passes with him. So looks like they're going to try to get their offense there going. Of course, they did have Jimmy Graham there, and of course, Drew Graham went on to Seattle and had a pretty good year there with them. So they're looking for a tight end in that same caliber like Jimmy Graham. And of course, Kobe Fleener, just a great tight end, great football player all the way around. That's definitely one target Andrew Luck is going to miss next season. Sean Witherspoon, he is back in Atlanta. He's back in hot Atlanta. He got a 1-year deal with them. Mark Sanchez was traded from the Eagles to the Broncos. Now, and I should have mentioned this when I was talking about the Broncos, but this was kind of just something I found out last minute. It kind of made me scratch my head, like, okay, why? Why would this be? I mean, are they targeting him as a quarterback, starting quarterback and whatnot? And the question is, the answer hasn't been said yet. Don't really know if he's going to be the starter. And of course the Eagles got rid of him because they got rid of Chip Kelly. And so, they're trying to clean that regime there of Chip Kelly. Of course, Chip Kelly now with the 49ers, and that's going to be really interesting to see how that's going to play out. as you know, they got some issues out there because you got Kaepernick out there, and he, you know, is questioning his quarterback, possibilities of him being a chip, you know, quarterback, and you know, it's gonna be interesting. I think that those two will fit together well. So we'll see how that goes. So Chip Kelly going off to he signed with the Saints as their head coach, or the 49ers. Excuse me, the 49ers as their head coach. As for another big story, and this story's been talked about so much because he's been recently in the news because allegedly he beat up his girlfriend, and then there's talks about him possibly going to Jerry World there in Dallas, and a lot of people are saying that is a bad fit for him, like very bad fit for him. You know, and that could not be. I mean, that right there could be the worst thing for America's team, which also makes you wonder if that does happen. Well, you obviously don't have any faith in Tony Romo, so yeah. But you know, as far as we know right now, he hasn't signed with anybody yet because you know, there's teams still talking to him. You know, anything can happen. But right now, he is on waivers after he was cut by the Browns. So I mean, right now, you know, anybody that wants him can pick him up. But no, so far, as far as I know, at least when I'm doing this video, I haven't really did my research yet on that yet. But as far as I know, he's not signed with anybody just quite yet. And let's see what else. Chase Daniels, a former Missouri Tiger, local celebrity around here, especially with a lot of people here that when I did the Chiefs camp there, they were really excited about him because a lot of people I know that went to Mizzou, big fans of him. Chase Daniels signed a 3-year deal, which is going to be worth about $21 million, and they signed him to a deal. Don't know if he's going to be a backup because they still have Sam Bradford there. Of course, Bradford, you know, he had most of those starts there in Philly. So Chase Daniels could possibly, you know, it could be a quarterback competition there between him and Bradford, which would be very interesting to see. So we'll see what Chase Daniels can do there. Rod Streeter leaves the Raiders, and he will sign with the Chiefs. Yes, he is staying within the division. He's going to his rival. I found that quite funny. I know a friend of mine who I work with, who's a big-time Raiders fan, did not like that at all, and that was not a joke that he really cared for. He said a lot of 4-letter words that I would say here on the channel, but yeah, it would be, I should have recorded it, but yeah, he was very upset of that as a longtime Raiders fan, and of course his wife is a big Chiefs fan. She's you know, she thinks it's hilarious. He thinks it's just a sin. So yeah, talking to him about that, yeah, that right there is worth putting on here on YouTube. And then finally, DeMarcus Ware restructured his contract with the Broncos, and so he remains the Bronco. That one I'm not for sure, but all these stories these guys I've named and talked about, there's links down below. You guys can check out those links if you guys want to know more. For the most part, you guys probably know about all this already. Another thing was the Giants. They made quite a few huge moves too during the off season, and it's people are kind of wondering, like, okay, what's this going on? I mean, they kept the head coach, but they made some pretty interesting moves there. And you guys can go on NFL.com and check that out there for more news about that. Alright, so one of the big stories that I've actually heard this past week and a half or so, and it was actually mentioned during, it was actually talked about when A-Rod announced that he would retire after the I believe he said the 2017 season. At first, I thought he said this season. I'm like, oh yes, yes, we get rid of the asshole. He's the one of the guys that's ruined the damn game. I honestly fell in love with A-Rod when he was in Seattle, and I really believed in the guy and everything, and believed in the hype. And then of course the whole going to Texas and then leaving Texas and going to New York and been still getting paid by Texas because they had that big monster contract, and but being paid by Texas, but at the same time playing for the Yankees, so he's getting paid by both clubs, and it's just like, and then the whole PED thing. All right, so but A-Rod announced that he will end his career after the 2017 season. So a lot of fans are there's both sides for it and again for him, or love him or hate him, voice their opinions about it, and of course I can go on about that even more. I'm definitely on the anti A-Rod or A-Fraud side, but the question was that a lot of people were asking was, should PEDs be allowed in all sports? I believe. Oh, there was I can't think of what it was now. I wish I would have wrote it down now. I believe there was a young woman who, I can't remember what she was. I can't remember if she. Oh, it was a tennis star. It was a tennis star. I can't think of her name now. I can see her face, but I can't think of her name. There was a tennis star that admitted that she just admitted that over the last couple of years she used PEDs. And this was one of the questions that said, hey, okay, with all these people getting caught with PEDs in the last couple of years now, should sports in general allow people to use PEDs? Now, I want to know from you guys down below. Leave this in your comment section, because this is going to be a great topic we can talk about and everything. And I'm going to give you my personal opinion. Should they be allowed in all sports? To me, no. And a lot of people say, just because they take PEDs doesn't make make them hit farther or harder or run faster or whatever. Well, not necessarily. Well, in some aspects, yes. Some aspects, no. When it comes to batting, no. You got to have a good eye. That's key point. You have a good eye, good timing, and when it comes to baseball and stuff like that. And that's what I'm trying my best to focus in on that sport in particular. But to me, the thing I hate, the one thing I don't want to see people use PEDs is a couple of things. One is you want to be shown, you want to say you play this sport by the end of your career, you had fun with the sport, you played it to your best ability, to the whatever deity you believe in, but in this case, God or whatever, whoever gave you your given talent that you were given from birth. To me, if you especially if you disrespect any sport really that you say you truly love, and you're using PEDs, to me, you're a liar. You're only in it for one thing, and that one thing is money. And don't get me wrong, money is great. Money helps out a lot, but money's not everything. Because the next thing I'm going to talk about it's about health. You got to take care of yourselves when you're taking those PEDs, and you're in because there's a lot of people that get in roid rages and everything. You're not just hurting yourself, but you're hurting. And I'm not trying to sound all wimpy and all sad, or make this a sad story thing, or do you get all teary-eyed about this? But your health comes in the issue, and to me it should be just like any other drug that's illegal. Because when you're taking these drugs, you're affecting your attitude, you're affecting your chemistry, your body chemistry, you're affecting everything. And you realize once you take these drugs and you take them over a course of a career, 10 or more years, your body's going to start wearing down even faster than before you were taking it. I'd rather take my chances on my given talent and not taking anything, and have my body being wear down by doing things physically of the sport, than taking something that will enhance myself for a brief time. Not to mention it's only gonna help you for a limited time, and it's gonna break you. It's gonna break your muscles, your bones, and everything else down. Not to mention your mental capability. And to me, I think that's just, to me, you're just not, if you're to me, you're a true athlete. As far as I know, I didn't never heard any athletes back in the day, in ancient times, taking PEDs or taking, getting shots of, human growth hormone, all that kind of stuff. So on that, come on, you're an athlete, then be an athlete. I always say I know a lot of guys when I was in college, when they were playing football and stuff, they kept going around, oh yeah, I was an athlete in school, I was doing this, and then they were turning around on Friday night or Saturday night or whatever, and they were getting, blitzed, they were getting drunk, they were getting high, they were shooting. I've even seen guys shooting up and everything. And I'm like, how can you call yourself an athlete? An athlete only puts in things that would help them fuel their body to make them better. Putting the PEDs, that's not going to make your body be better. For a brief time, it will, but it eventually will backfire on you. It will, say, hey, that addiction will start kicking in, and that addiction will turn to your body breaking down. So, honestly, I don't understand why people think PEDs are why some people think PEDs should be allowed, because to me, like I said, you're not an athlete at all. You're not an athlete at all. To me, your fame and fortune, you didn't get them from what you were giving, as whatever sport you're playing in. To me, you're not pure, and I think I am a purist. I think I'm about playing the game pure, playing it straight up, playing it from that, whoever's from that person's best abilities. To me, I don't think you should enhance your abilities by taking something that's only going to last for a short time. I know I know I'm going to sound insensitive. I know a lot of people are going to say, hey man, you should be saying that. But these guys that do use these PEDs, and I'm not saying all of them, but there are certain ones that we've heard about and everything, and they take these PEDs and they do crazy things. To me, that you got exactly what you deserved. One of them right now, I'm thinking on the top of my head. Actually, there's two of them. One was a baseball player, Ken Netty. One of my favorite baseball players. And the guy committed suicide. And I'm thinking to myself, well, you're like, when you hear that, you're like, what? What? Well, we find out he took steroids. He was roid raging, and he took them over the years so much that he left. I believe he left Major League Baseball pretty early. He was pretty young when he left. He was at the peak of his career, and he retired because of injuries. And a lot of people are saying, all those injuries that Ken Griffey Jr. had, well, you know what? Ken Griffey Jr. has never been caught using his PEDs or any kind of steroids at all. He's never came up dirty of any test. And you know why? Because he played the sport. He played it like his God-given talent that he was given. And it's a shame because he had that one freak injury where it turned out to be a chronic injury from years on, so he had no choice, but he knew he couldn't play no more. He had to retire, and he didn't want to retire. At the time that he had that freak injury there, which I think was in Seattle, I think it was that last season he was in with the Mariners. He was on pace, you guys. He was on pace to be the home run king. And to me, it just really pisses me off that he had the great career that he had, and it came up short because of something he did routinely, and it caused him to get injured. And that one injury just completely changed his life. People are like, "Well, he should use PEDs." For what? It would make just his injury just as worse. You got guys now like Barry Bonds who can, a lot of people say, "Oh yeah, to me he's not the home run champ at all." I say that every time there's a debate about that, his name comes up. No, he's not. He is not a home run king at all. Come on, look at the pictures of him when he first started off to when he was with the Giants, came with the Giants. He had to take something. He had to take, and there's not just him. There's several other guys out there. You take a look at them. You're thinking to yourself, how in the hell did he get that big that quick? Over a course of 2 years, how the hell did he get big that quick? There's no way. You can lift enough weights in a year, you're not gonna get that big that quick. I'm sorry. And again, this right here, especially when it comes to baseball, this really irks me. And I really try. I should be saying this for all sports. It's just he's just not the home run king, and it just sucks that King Griffey Jr. cannot. He had to retire the way he did, and he was on pace, you guys. He was on pace to be, the home run king. I mean, just think about it. Just think about if he didn't, that injury he had when he was with the Mariners. Think about if he went the he would be Mr. Home Run. I mean, by far he's one of my favorite baseball players of all time. A beautiful swing. It just sucks that his these injuries, just one after another, cause him not to be away from the game that much. And to the point where he says, "You know what? I can't do this no more." And I'm thankful that he knew that he had to walk away, step away from the game, because there's a lot of guys that just won't stay away. And then you got, like I said, of course now Barry Bonds, the hitting coach for the Miami Marlins. You got what is it? Mark McGwire. He was with the He was with the Cardinals, but he's with somebody else now. I can't think who it is, but he's their hitting coach. And it's like, these guys are, it's like, how in the hell does that work? First I haven't heard anything from Sammy Sosa. Well, actually, Sammy Sosa, he had that bleaching or whatever of his skin. Kind of looks a little scary now. Let's see, Rafael Palmeiro. Oh my god, yeah. Shook his hand. Wagged his finger at that man should be in fucking Leavenworth right now. Lied in front of Congress. Testified in front of Congress saying that he did not take PEDs at any time in his career. But within, a week or two, when he said that in front of Congress at Capitol Hill, he got busted. Now, come on. Seriously? Come on. You're telling me you sit there and told, why is he not in prison right now for perjury? Seriously, why is he not in jail for perjury? That's crazy. To me, I know this was several years ago, but I'm just flabbergasted by all this. But to me, PEDs should not be allowed in sports, and because I think I said 3 reasons. My number one reason, and people forget about this reason, but it's about the kids. People preach that kids need a role model, in which to me, role models come in all shapes and sizes, come from all walks of life. Don't get me wrong. They shouldn't. First and foremost, they should come from people they actually know in their lives, family members, parents, people that are, I'm not saying are do good in life, who do the, I mean, life has a lot of gray areas, don't get me wrong, but they do things for the betterment of not just themselves but for everyone. And there's a lot of baseball players out there that do a lot of great things, and I wish I could name all of them off, but there's a lot of guys out there that do a lot of things with charitable organizations with kids and inner cities and communities and all sorts of things. Breast cancer awareness. You got prostate awareness, which I think is around Father's Day. So I mean, there's a lot of things that they do. There's a lot of baseball players that do some good things. There's a lot of organizations within Major League Baseball that do great things. But it's more about the kids. There's in the last couple of years with all these PEDs, we hear about people taking PEDs. So there's been a lot of kids being suicidal because they see these stars that they admire and say, well, man, he's taking it. I could take it. If he's taking it, that helped him get to the Major League Baseball or to the NFL or you very seldom hear anything about NBA. But whatever sport they're into, that person took some. I know for a fact they took it, or it's rumored that they've taken stuff. And it's like, no, that's not the way to get into that sport if you're going to get into it. If anything, you got to work your ass off. You got to put in the work. You got to put in the training. Not to mention, I mean, if especially if you're playing football or baseball, you can kind of get there's a ways of getting there to to the major league level. Going through the minor leagues, playing winter ball and winter ball in Japan, or playing in Mexico and stuff like that, and the Mexican leagues and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, if you say you're a true, if you want to play the sport, I would suggest you play it purely, play it with the God-given talent you were given, and I mean, you got to take what you have. You just can't think that injecting something is going to all of a sudden magically give you the strength and power. You got to get that from within. That's a personal thing you have to work on as an individual. And I think a lot of kids just get confused about that and think that these stars that are taking these PEDs or growth hormones or whatever they are, they think that's going to get them on the fast track of getting a career. And and honestly, it may be the quickest track, but you know what? That's the quickest way you're going to get out of the league. And there should be, I'm telling you now, there should be a lot of colleges, especially when it comes to football, and that need to crack down on this. Need to crack down and stress. If you take these drugs, you take any of these banned substances or whatever, you're done. Because honestly, playing in the NFL, playing in Major League Baseball, playing in the NBA, or playing in hockey, it's not a rite of passage. It's a privilege. For the first and foremost, it's a privilege. It's a hollow fraternity that only a few get selected to be joined. And I think if you're gonna go in there, make sure you go in there clean. Make sure you're not taking steroids. Make sure you're doing what you need to do to look back and say, hey, when I played whatever, I did it cleanly, and show that proof. Yeah, I did it cleanly. I passed all the piss tests, the drug tests, all everything they threw at me. I did it cleanly, and and there's some things out there that, and that's another thing they need to clarify. I think those different organizations like Major League Baseball and NFL need to clearly and come out and say that these substances are banned. Not, you know, have that loophole. I mean, I know you can't fix every loophole, but just be clear, clarify and make sure things are clear to all these athletes that play for them in these respective sports, that, you know, these are the drugs that are banned. Don't take them. If you take them, this is what's going to happen. And I think for me, especially for baseball, baseball, all sports, if you're, depending on how passionate you're about it, you should, you know, they should all be respected. But when especially with baseball, to me, baseball is it's America's true pastime. And, you know, and I enjoy it because every year I buy the $100 package of watching Major League Baseball so I can watch it throughout the whole summer. And I enjoy it. I know people say, "Oh man, I can't sit there and watch a baseball game on television," or, you know, going to a baseball game is not, you know, it's not as fun. You know, for me, I love it. I can sit there and watch a game, and I can sit there and go to a game, and wouldn't care. I mean, I don't care either one. I don't care which one I'm doing as long as I'm there. And honestly, I think a lot of, I think Major League Baseball, for one, needs to be a lot more stricter on their policies. They need, you know, they have that 3 strikes and you're out rule. To me, it's 2 strikes. First time you do, because, I mean, we all know now, you take any PEDs, it's illegal. You shouldn't be taking them. First and foremost, shouldn't be taking them. So to me, you should lose a half of a season. The second time you do it, you're banned. Straight up. I'm telling you. I joke, my friends and I, we joke about this, but I'm being serious. If I was the commissioner of Major League Baseball, that would be one of the first things I would do on my first day at work. We're going to change this policy. We're going to make it stricter, because we're going to let everyone know, to be in Major League Baseball, you have to have some talent. You know, to be in Major League Baseball, you need to play the game purely. You know, and to remind them, hey, this is a privilege. A privilege. This is not a right. This is a privilege. When you get drafted to a ball club, and regardless what draft pick you are, if you get drafted and you decide to go play pro ball, and you just, you know, you start in the minor leagues and stuff like that, you know, that's a great honor. Just even being drafted, being recognized as someone getting drafted in whatever round, that's a great honor. And for guys that like me, who love the sport, who play the sport, and as far as I played it was college, on, you know, the JUCO level, and I only played a year of it. You know, I'm telling you, I miss it. I truly miss it, and I wish I could have played even more. But you know what? I knew I didn't have that X factor. I didn't have the strength. I didn't have the power. I didn't have by far the great throw accuracy and all that kind of stuff. You know, I was a pretty good, decent hitter. You know, if, you know, runners in a scoring position, I can knock them in. But I just didn't have the it. You know, and I knew a lot of guys that played baseball who played it just as long as I did and had the it. And you know what they did with the it? They shit on it. That was it. They played, you know, they had opportunities to play for Division I baseball at some very well-known schools that are known for the baseball programs. And what they do when they got there? Just shit the fucker away. They just lit the bag of shit, and that was it. You know, didn't even get on the chance to get on the field because they already messed up already. And when I hear about this, I'm just kind of like thinking of something like, oh, you know, wow. I mean, seriously, you have this talent, you know. And I knew a couple guys that got busted using steroids when they're even in the JUCO level got busted. And I'm thinking, I'm like, you played, you know, you were on championship teams in high school and everything. I'm like, what the hell? Like, you know, coaches are scratching their head like, okay, this is not who we recruited. You know, what is going on? And like I said, it's just, I don't know. It just, it upsets me. But anyway, we can talk about that even more. But like I said, I don't think they should be allowed in any sport. Because to me, you're not an athlete at all if you're going to use them. So, all right, now we're going to shift gears now and kind of wrap up the last couple of minutes here. We're going to talk about some pro wrestling. One of the things I was reading an article. Well, it was a little piece. It was on. I can't think of the website. So it was a couple different websites out there of pro wrestling. And there was an article about Vince McMahon and how he says he doesn't really care for NXT. And I kind of stretched my head. I'm like, wait a minute. This is one of your ideas. This is something you created a couple years ago. Because ECW, the WWE version, wasn't doing so well. So they let go of that product and branded a show called NXT, and which was basically the future WWE superstars that was coming out from their territory, which was Florida Championship Wrestling. Well, actually, before that, it was Ohio Valley. Then they switched it over to Florida Championship Wrestling, and it was actually because how NXT got started was actually it was a discussion between Vince McMahon and Triple H, and they wanted to have a third brand that would showcase some unknown talent that they could, you know, eventually pipe through to the main roster. And some of the talent was going to be some no-name guys that we never, you know, no-name guys and divas that we never even heard of or we have heard of. And of course, you know, NXT now is one of the most popular brands in wrestling. You know, it's getting, better ratings than Raw and SmackDown at times. And that's it. Just per, you know, you look at Raw and SmackDown segments. NXT's beating, you know, the whole NXT show is beating, you know, just a segment of a Raw or SmackDown. You know, it's kind of like, wow. But yeah, I found that article very interesting, and just kind of scratched my head. I'm like, how can you not say it's not, you know, he doesn't care for it? I mean, how can you say you don't care for it? I mean, you got future stars here who should have been in WWE years ago. You know, you got guys now who just recently signed, like Austin Aries. You got Kevin Owens. You got Sami Zayn. You got Seth Rollins. You know, Dean Ambrose, you know, Apollo Creed or Apollo Crews. I mean, you got a long list of guys there who are the indies. Really and truly, if you look at the NXT roster, you're looking at that's an indie. I mean, to me, NXT is an indie product. I mean, imagine WWE says you know, they're trying to promote it. It's not. It is. I mean, they just recently signed Bobby Roode. I mean, he made an appearance there at NXT Takeover, which was just awesome. I was like, wow, you know, like, this is serious. I mean, you know, you hear about these rumors or these stories of, oh, you know, WWE's, you know, in the process of signing, you know, such and such. Well, they just recently, you know, they just announced it that Bobby Roode is now part of the NXT roster. I believe another former TNA guy, a TNA original, he is now part of that roster, and I don't know if they're going to make an announcement just yet, but last time I heard, Eric Young left. Both Eric Young and Bobby Roode left TNA. Now, I don't know if this is going to be a full-out deal, because I know, at least what I've heard, Bobby Roode and Eric Young are still in talks with TNA about possibly just coming back and renegotiating their contracts there, because last time we seen a TNA guy come over to WWE, and that guy was the Cowboy, James Storm. He came over, and he was there for a couple weeks, and then he all of a sudden magically was on TNA again. So I guess he restructured a contract or renewed a contract with them, and now he's back there with them, because for a while their Beer Money had a reunion there on TNA. So I find it really interesting that this could be just a deal where they're just he's testing the water, see if he likes what he sees, the product and whatnot, and kind of see what kind of direction they're going to put him in, have him go into. So yeah, this is just kind of, I think they're just doing that for right now. I know a lot of people were excited about it and everything. I admit I was when I seen him on the screen and everything. But I wonder how long it's going to last. Hopefully, and he's one of those guys that needs to be fast tracked to the main roster, along with Austin Aries, who needs to be fast tracked there. Samoa Joe, another guy that signed with WWE a couple months back. Finn Balor, another one. You got Doc Gallows, who's now making his return back to WWE. I haven't seen any promos yet of him and Carl Anderson yet on NXT or anything, but I know they are part of the WWE roster or the NXT roster. I don't know if they're going to be on the main roster or if they're going to put them on NXT. I know AJ Styles, they put him straight on the on the roster. He's on the WWE roster because he's going to be in a match. Well, like I said, I don't know if this video is going to come up on Saturday night or Sunday, but he's going to be in the one of the matches he's going to be in a match with Chris Jericho at WrestleMania. I mean, wow! I mean, he debuted at at Royal Rumble, and now all of a sudden he's coming back. He's going to be in another match here in the WWE, against Chris Jericho, and that's going to be awesome. I think that's going to be a lot. People like myself that's a dream match. That's something you play in the WWE 2K games. You find a sim, you find a call of them, and you put them, you have them face each other and see who's going to win. So yeah, it's gonna be really, really interesting how this NXT is gonna be. Speaking of NXT, let's talk about the Roadblock pay-per-view. I think the Roadblock pay-per-view is something that WWE needs to do more often. When they just showcase a couple of matches. I know they did the Beast from the East, which was back in the 4th of July weekend. They did the Madison Square Garden Live event. That was pretty successful. And this one, Roadblock, was actually a lot of fun. It was the main event match between Triple H and Dean Ambrose was just awesome. I wish that if they do more of these, they need to include, they need to start blending in some of the NXT rosters. Some of those wrestlers, see some championship matches with them a lot more often. I think they need to showcase them a lot more. They need to have more takeovers, not a monthly takeover. I guess not a monthly one, but every other month. But I think they need to do something like this. That was a really great show. Right now, I think my favorite tag team right now is the Revival. I think they're that old school tag team, which I've been saying that we need to see now here in the WWE more often, because that tag team division has been lacking some, or actually lacking a lot. So yeah, that's going to be really fun to see how those two come out, because I think they'll probably come up on the main roster here sooner than later. Because again, I don't know when this is going to be up. I don't know if this is going to be before the event or it's going to be after. But if they win, I think they'll probably. Honestly, I think they'll end up losing the title match against American Alpha, and I think they'll end up getting called up to maybe take the titles off of the New Day because they're a great heel faction. I think they're a really good heel faction that the fans can really dislike. So I think that's going to be awesome because New Day right now, they're too much of a baby face. So I think that's going to be something that it's going to be interesting to see. So yeah, the Roadblock was awesome. NXT Takeover, like I said, I hope it's going to be a good show. I think it's going to be a good show. It's got a lot of great matches. Like I said, the Revival going against the American Alphas. Another match, Nakamura going against Sami Zayn. And then, of course, the main event, Finn Balor going against Samoa Joe. That should be a great match there. I think if Samoa Joe wins, I think he will probably have to hold on to the title for a while there, and then eventually he'll get called up. If he loses, I think he'll go ahead and get called up, and he'll be on Monday Night Raw here, probably on the Monday after WrestleMania. I think for Finn Balor, win or lose, I think he'll get called up to. I really think they're using him as the face of NXT with him and Sami Zayn as the faces. But he needs to be up on the main roster. They keep teasing about this whole Balor Club thing and everything. Or at least he has been on Facebook and on really on Twitter. And I hope that does happen. I think that's gonna be a lot of fun, and having a power faction like the Balor, the Balor Club, if they're gonna be called that, or Bullet Club, whatever. That's something right now Raw really needs it right now. So yeah, it's gonna be pretty fun to see that. And of course, WrestleMania coming up. That's gonna be a great night. You got great matches: AJ Styles, Chris Jericho. You got the 6-man ladder match coming up. That is going to be a fun match to watch. Of course, for me, I think I'm hoping and praying that we'll see a Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn, all-out fiasco, and I'm hoping Sami Zayn will pull out the win and be the next Intercontinental Champion, which will lead to him and Kevin Owens going at it for that title at Extreme Rules or Backlash or it'd be Extreme Rules, I think. So that'll be very interesting to see. Of course, the main event, Triple H going against Roman Reigns, and then one of the other co-main event, The Undertaker versus Shane O'Mac. That right there is definitely a match I'm going to be keeping my eyeballs on that one from beginning to end. So it should be a great night at the on WWE Network. It should be a great weekend overall. And then, of course, our final thing we're going to talk about here before we go, and we'll actually get into it more next week because the games haven't started yet. Actually, one thing I should be talking about right now, and we'll talk about more. We won't get into too much because I haven't been really following it. That's NCAA tournament. My bracket is busted up like no other. I had KU going all the way, and they got defeated last weekend. There's 4 games that happen as of right now. I'm talking. There's games going on right now. I haven't been watching them. I need to. But yeah, we'll talk more about that next weekend. But really, we'll talk about Major League Baseball tomorrow or today. Like I said again, I don't know when this is going up. But either or, Major League Baseball is this weekend. There's 3 games tomorrow. We got the first game. It's I believe the Cardinals being hosted by the Pirates. You got the Blue Jays being hosted by the Rays. And then you got your nightcap, which is the New York Mets coming to Kansas City. A rematch of last year's World Series game. And we'll see the Royals in action. See if they can repeat. They're on a good track here, getting a win here against last year's NL NL East winners and NL champions of Major League Baseball. So that right there, seriously, a packed weekend here for sports in general. So pretty much I'm going to be glued to my couch all weekend long, watching a lot of WWE. Also, so I got some baseball movies. I've been trying to get in that gear of getting ready for baseball, and of course watching baseball itself tomorrow or today or whatever this video is coming up. So, but that is it. I promise I'm trying my best to get some of this podcast like stuff up here more often. We'll try to get next week. We'll try to get episode 3. We'll talk about Major League Baseball. We'll talk about the Final Four and, of course, the National Championship game. We'll get into that. Just talk about that and see how that goes. And we'll see. We'll talk about what happened in the aftermath of WrestleMania. What happened and whatever big surprises and stuff like that is going to go on, because there's always something crazy and something setting up for Monday Night Raw for the next night there. So thank you guys for watching, or I should say listening to me. Again, if you guys enjoyed the series, hit that subscription button and subscribe for more of ESGNet presents Sports Gamer Talk Soapbox podcast. I don't know. I'm still working on the name of this, so bear with me with that. But yeah, we'll come back for more of that here next week, as we'll talk about WrestleMania, Major League Baseball opening weekend, and a little bit of college basketball if we can fit it in there. So thank you guys so much. As always, keep yourselves healthy. Again, the links are down below for all the stories that I've just talked about today. And I will see you guys next time.